The Han Dynasty: Rise, Glory, Collapse, and Culture. From rebel to emperor, the birth of Han. When the Qing dynasty crumbled under its own harshness, China descended into war once again. Among the many rebel leaders fighting for control, one man seemed the most unlikely candidate to rule the world: Liu Bang, a coarse, joking, big-hearted former village patrol officer. He had no noble blood, no legendary sword skill, no ancient ancestry. But he had something priceless: loyalty. His men trusted him, the common people liked him, and his commanders knew he listened. His greatest rival was the warlord Xiong Yu, a brilliant general whose ferocity terrified even his own allies. Their rivalry shaped the fate of China. Xiong Yu, powerful but proud, ruled through fear. Liu Bang, often underestimated, won support through patience and kindness. After years of brutal battles, betrayals, and shifting alliances, the two men faced their final confrontation. Xiong Yu's strength failed as his allies abandoned him. Surrounded, he took his own life. And in 202 BCE, Liu Bang became Emperor Gaozu, the first emperor of the Han Dynasty. Building a new empire, balance instead of brutality. The Han Dynasty inherited the administrative system of Qin, provinces, laws, centralized power, but threw away its cruelty. Taxes fell, forced labor eased, collective punishments were reduced, and Confucian scholars returned to public life. Emperor Gaozu surrounded himself with brilliant advisors. Confucianism grew in importance, teaching that ruling with virtue was better than ruling with terror. Empress Liu, the quiet storm. After Gaozu's death, Empress Liu took control. Calm but politically sharp, she placed her relatives in powerful positions and ruled through fear at court, though the empire stayed stable. After her death, the Liu clan purged the Liu family and restored imperial power. The Golden Age, Wen, Jing, and the peaceful years. Emperor Wen lived simply and ruled gently, reducing punishments and protecting the poor. His son, Emperor Jing, continued these policies. Their reigns became known as a golden age of peace, prosperity, and quiet growth. Emperor Wu, ambition, expansion, and the high tide of Han. Emperor Wu, the seventh emperor, transformed Han into a global power. He launched massive campaigns against the Xiongnu. Expanded deep into Central Asia. Opened early Silk Road routes. Strengthened Confucian examinations. Encouraged trade, arts, and ritual. But glory came with heavy costs. Wars drained money, taxes rose, corruption spread, and peasants suffered. The long decline, corruption, disasters, and a usurper. After Emperor Wu, child emperors and power struggles weakened the state. Natural disasters and corruption fueled chaos. In 9 CE, Wang Mang seized the throne, claiming he would restore ancient virtue. His rule ended the First Han Dynasty.
A cultural portrait of Han China. Life, people, clothing, and traditions. Daily life. Most Han people were farmers living in mud brick homes. Villages worked together, shared tools, and celebrated harvests with music and wine. Family was the heart of society. Elders were respected, ancestors honored, and marriages arranged. Filial piety was the highest virtue. Clothing. Han clothing, Hanfu, was elegant and flowing. Wide sleeves. Crossed collars. Sashes instead of buttons. Wealthy people wore silk, commoners wore hemp or cotton. Han culture was rich with ancestor worship, seasonal festivals, drums, bamboo firecrackers, music, poetry, and storytelling. Medicine, divination, and astronomy flourished.
From the fall of the Western Han to the dawn of the Three Kingdoms. After the collapse of the First Han Dynasty, the empire did not fall quietly. It broke with a violent tremor that shook every village, every fortress, and every ambitious heart across China. What came next was a storm of rebellion, warlords, famine, shifting loyalties, and the rise of the men who would shape the age of the Three Kingdoms. The Xian Dynasty and the Red Eyebrow Rebellion. When Wang Mang seized the throne and declared his Xian Dynasty, he imagined himself a restorer of ancient virtue. But the empire had other ideas. Natural disasters struck one after another, floods of the Yellow River, famine, crop failures. The people blamed Wang Mang's harsh reforms. Bandit groups formed everywhere. Among them, one group painted their eyebrows red to recognize each other in battle. They became known as the Red Eyebrows, and within a few years, they grew into a massive rebellion. Wang Mang fortified himself in the capital. But in the chaos, the Red Eyebrows stormed the palace. The emperor's forces collapsed, and Wang Mang was killed as his short-lived dynasty vanished in the smoke. The Restoration, Rise of Emperor Guanwu and the Eastern Han. Out of the ruins stepped a descendant of the Han royal family, Lu Xiu, a calm, calculating, and clever leader. He rebuilt armies, won back support, and slowly reclaimed the land. He declared himself Emperor Guanwu, founding the Eastern Han dynasty. Guanwu chose Luoyang as the new capital, safer, more central, and away from the old political traps of Chang'an. With patience and discipline, he restored order. Taxes were lowered, warlords were tamed, and the people welcomed stability after decades of chaos. The Golden Peak and the Silent Corruption. For the next century, the Eastern Han enjoyed peace and prosperity. Trade revived, Confucian learning flourished, and the court was stable. But underneath the surface, rot began to spread. As emperors died young, the government fell under the control of powerful regents, imperial in-laws, and especially eunuchs. Those factions began to fight for influence over the child emperors. Corruption deepened. Local officials ignored the needs of the people. By the 2nd century, the cracks were beginning to show. Yellow turbans and the shattering of the Han. In 184 CE, a healer named Zhang Ju gathered followers by promising healing and a new era called the Great Peace. His movement exploded into a massive peasant uprising, the Yellow Turban Rebellion. The government was weak. Local warlords, not the imperial court, crushed the rebels. Men like Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Jian first rose to prominence in these campaigns. The rebellion failed, but it permanently shattered the authority of the Han. Warlords gained armies, territories, and real power. The emperor became a puppet. Dong Zhuo and the burning of the capital. When the young Emperor Shao and Emperor Xian were caught in a power struggle inside the palace, a warlord general named Dong Zhuo seized control. He deposed the young emperor, placed Emperor Xian on the throne, and ruled with brutality. The capital of Luoyang became a nightmare. When a coalition of warlords rose to challenge him, Dong Zhuo burned the entire capital and forced the court to flee to Chang'an. The Han court was now a wandering ghost, controlled entirely by a tyrant. Eventually, Dong Zhuo was assassinated by his own adopted son, Lu Bu, but the damage was done. China was in complete military chaos. The rise of the great warlords. With the central government powerless, every ambitious leader carved out their own territory. Cao Cao, a brilliant and ruthless tactician, took control of the emperor himself. He made Emperor Xian his puppet and ruled in his name. Under Cao Cao, the northern lands were unified and stabilized. Liu Bei, a distant Han relative with humble origins, gathered loyal generals like Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. He dreamed of restoring the Han and protecting the common people. Sun Quan, inheriting his family's power in the southeast, built a strong and wealthy state around the Yangtze River. These three rising powers would soon collide. The final collapse, end of the Han and the beginning of the Three Kingdoms. By the early 3rd century, it was clear the Han dynasty existed only in name. Cao Cao controlled the emperor and nearly unified the entire north. But at the Battle of Red Cliffs, a stunning alliance of Liu Bei and Sun Quan stopped Cao Cao's advance in one of the most famous battles in Chinese history. The empire was now permanently split. Cao Cao dominated the north. Liu Bei controlled the west and southwest. Sun Quan ruled the southeast. After Cao Cao's death, his son pressured Emperor Xian to abdicate. In 220 CE, Emperor Xian surrendered the throne. The Han dynasty, after 4 centuries, was officially over. Qiao Pai declared himself the new emperor of Wei. Soon after, Liu Bei declared Shu. Sun Quan became emperor of Wu. The age of the three kingdoms had begun.